Good evening and welcome to blackdoctor.org. I am your host, Ask Dr. Renee, and today I have a co-host because I'm also going to be a panelist. So my co-host today is Eden Wilson, also known as Lemon Nerdy, also known as Chicago's amazing teen, Miss Chicago's amazing teen. Did I get that right?
Miss Chicago's outstanding teen.
Outstanding teen. See, amazing, outstanding. She's all of that. And we have my friend Andrea Polk, who is a fellow food allergy thriver as myself. And so we're going to have a great conversation. We are starting Allergy Appreciation Month. So October is Allergy Appreciation Month. And for those that don't know, I wrote a book, Mommy, I Can't Breathe. And it is the modern guide to navigate allergies and asthma because I am someone who has thrived. I don't say suffer because I don't suffer. Anyone knows me knows I don't suffer. I thrive with food allergies and environmental allergies as well as severe asthma. So Eden is going to interview me for a switch, you guys, and then we're going to just have a lovely chat.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eden, as she said. I am a sophomore in high school. I am, as she said, Miss Chicago's outstanding teen, and I have my own YouTube channel, Lemon Nerdy. So everyone make sure that you go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Lemon Nerdy. I have Dr. Renee's book here. I've got my little tabs. I've been reading it, and I'm so excited to ask you some of these questions. And I know, Miss Andrea, you also have allergies, so I want to get both of your opinions on these different things. So the first question is just for Dr. Renee. What was your inspiration for this book? What was your writing process like, and how do you feel now that it's published?
So the inspiration was that I have recognized in recent years that more than just a few people are allergic to foods. When I was growing up, I was always the only one. I was the only one in my class, let alone the whole school. I was the only one in the entire family. I was always the only one. Whereas now it's almost common that you have 2 or 3 kids, and now you have daycares that are completely nut free, and now you have all these foods that cater to the top 8 allergies and recipes and stuff. So none of that was out in 1976 when I was born. So I am a proud 45-year-old woman. And so that was my thing, was that I recognized that and was like, we need to do something about that. That is horrible. And I needed to let parents know, because a lot of parents, if you didn't have allergies growing up and your kid has allergies, you could imagine you'd be terrified. Andrea has a daughter, but I know that if her daughter was allergic to anything, she'd be fine because once you've lived with it, you can easily handle it. But if you're a parent that has never dealt with them and all of a sudden your little one has them, you are petrified. So I wanted parents to know that their kids can live really great, productive lives, which is what we're talking about today, managing your life with allergies. So, we travel. All 3 of us travel. We travel globally. We eat lots of different places, not just at home. So I wanted people to understand that. So that's why I wrote the book. I was like, if I can help parents to understand that their children are going to be okay, and just because they can't have and everyone else can, it doesn't mean that they have to be the outsider at school, because I was not the outsider. I didn't sit in a separate lunchroom or anything like that, or a separate table. So that was why. My process was hurry up and get the book done. So, honestly, it seemed like at night is when I would be able to get a whole bunch of words. And so at night, a lot of times I was in bed typing frantically. I also tried talking into my phone and then transcribing that. So I tried a couple things, and, deadlines were creeping. And so that's why I was able to hurry up and get it done, because I tell everyone, yes, I have written columns for, Madame Noir and Black and Married Kids and all these other places, but I play a writer. I'm not really one. So, although now I will say I am an author, because Amazon has qualified me as an author, putting me on the top sellers list, and Barnes and Noble and all these other platforms that are carrying the book. So, yeah.
Awesome. That is great that all your book is in all these different stores. I have
Yes.
my own, and I love like the cover and everything, and it feels so nice, very high quality. So I would definitely say you're a writer just because this book exists, even if it wasn't on Amazon. I I
Yes.
love this book. So you you said that you wanted this book to be especially for parents so that they're not afraid that their kids will be exposed to something or have a reaction, so they'll be very informed on what they're getting into when their kid has allergies. So you kind of covered who your intended audience was, but what can someone who does not have allergies get out of your book?
You can help someone because I promise you, you know somebody that's allergic. And just being kinder, you know, a lot of people are like, Renee can't eat anything. I mean, I have thick skin. Both of you know me. I have very thick skin, so I don't care. But somebody else, they might be very offended by that comment, but I'm not because I am allergic to a lot of things. That is the fact. The fact is that I am allergic to a lot. So you could be more informed on how to treat somebody. And also, there is a small population, I pray it's small, I'm just saying that, but I pray it's a small population of people who think that folks with allergies are just making it up and it's all in their head and they don't take it seriously. And people like us, it's very serious. It's not a laughing matter. It is a 911 situation. You know, it's very serious. And so people who there's a story in the book about me. I went to a restaurant and they cooked the fish inside of the same fryer as the chicken. So basically took the chicken out, put it on someone's plate, then put fish in, put it on someone's plate. And so because they did that, I had an allergic reaction because I'm allergic to seafood. But they didn't seem to think that that was a big deal. But it was opening night for my not school play, but my play I was doing in the summer, and I had to carry my breathing machine backstage and my nebulizer with me and take treatments in between scenes because I literally started wheezing and having a reaction. So there's some people that, unfortunately I don't know, they just don't think that it's a very serious matter or, whatever, and they say crazy things. And so I hope that the book will enlighten you that this is really not for play. Like, this is serious. And, granted, there are people who have sensitivities. Sensitivities are different than allergies, obviously. But people who have anaphylaxis reactions, you really need to be careful. And you need to be mindful. And I tell a story about my friend who always looks out for me. Shout out to Angela Brooks. She always, whenever she has me over for food, she always has the seafood option in a separate room, separate utensils. So there's no way that you can be cross-contamination. So I hope that people who don't have allergies can be like her and understand that, this person has allergies. So either you tell them to bring their food with them or, make special, I guess, I don't know, a special case for them and, make them a special dish or call and inquire. Don't think people are weird when they call and ask you, what are you serving? Don't get offended. It's because they want to see, should they eat before they come or will they be able to eat?
So this next question is for both of you, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I want to hear some more about, are there any stigma around allergies? And have you ever been somewhere like a friend's house or a restaurant or an after-school program where you asked them about what they were serving or like what kind of things were touching other things and they weren't accommodating to you? Or has anyone ever been rude to you and something has happened as a result of that?
I think for me, I typically, prior to 2 years ago, I used to eat out a lot. Now I don't prefer to eat out a lot because I have a very difficult request, and I don't want to be the person that's the difficult, server. So I'm like, okay, I have soy allergy, seafood allergy, peanut allergy, and I don't do gluten. So I'm trusting that person will relay that message. But while I'm sitting around the table with other people that can eat everything, they're probably like, oh my gosh, she's just doing too much, So I think that's really the only thing. And then when I am in situations where there's food prepared, I have a lot of questions, or I just don't eat, and I never want to look like the person that's not participating. But just like that, I could have an issue. So yeah, it's kind of difficult. It is very difficult. I always say this is probably the worst dis-ease or to have, because at any point you could be triggered by something unbeknownst to you.
Yeah, I often, there's a lot of times that I don't eat just because I don't feel like asking 20 questions.
Mhm.
So it just makes my life easier if I don't ask, what did you make this in? And is this and that? And I just won't eat. And I'm okay with that. And it doesn't bother me because I've been like this my whole life. So it's not a big deal. But I eat out just like I eat out. I don't think more than others, but maybe I do. I travel. And when I lived overseas for 2 years, allergic to seafood, and lived on an island.
Oh,
But I never got sick.
good.
They didn't do that cross-contamination thing on the island of St. Martin. So I didn't have anything to worry about. I always eat this. I used to only eat the same things, chicken fingers and fries. I didn't care where we were, but you couldn't go wrong with chicken fingers and fries. And I think once I became an adult, I kind of was like, well, let's try some other things on the menu. And so then I broadened my scope. So now I do eat other things, but now the problem is that they have found that vegetable oil, I guess, is more expensive than canola and these soy blends and stuff, and I'm allergic to those. And so now it's either don't get anything fried or ask them, what did you fry your food in? So
It's rough. It's definitely rough when you go outside of your house to eat, for sure.
So you guys mentioned a lot that if you don't want to ask a lot of questions, then you'll just not eat anything. But you also said that when you were in school, you never had to sit at a different lunch table. But also, if you're going out to eat with someone, they might be like, "Ooh, she's doing too much," or like, "She can't eat anything." What advice would you give to someone who's feeling kind of left out if they have food allergies and everyone else is eating things and they can't, especially if they're young? And of course, kids want to do everything that their friends can do.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think from adult perspective, I would just be honest with, my issues are this. This is what this is what I can't do. So there's no shame in who I am, If I don't say something and you consistently ask me to go out, like when I get asked to go to seafood restaurants, I have to decline because there's probably nothing that's not
right.
to eat. So I would just say be yourself, and everybody's makeup is different. The times that I accommodated others were times that I reaped the benefits in a negative way. So just be yourself. We all have issues. We're all dealing with something. Yours just happen to be what you consume. Yeah.
So I think parents, if you start really because I was born this way, my mother instilled in me very young that I was allergic to these things and these things are going to make you sick. And so I expressed that to my friends so that they knew. So those that were my friends, I went to the friends' parties, I went to the sleepovers, I did all of that stuff. But their parents knew, and they knew that this is what I can and cannot eat. The other thing is my mom, who is an excellent gourmet chef, my mother would cook whatever and pack it up and take, and that's what I would take with me. So if it was a birthday party, it might be a cupcake so that I can have cake and ice cream and they have cake and ice cream. And I might not be able to have the ice cream, but at least I could have the cupcake. In the beginning, I couldn't have regular ice cream. Now I can have regular ice cream. But, and she had little ice cream cups she told me. And I think it was goat's milk because at the time I couldn't have dairy milk. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's the thing is you just tell your kid and you get them to understand you do not want to get sick. Mm-hmm. And you need to explain to your friends that this will make you sick. We know Halloween is coming up and all the kids want to go get candy. First of all, you have to check the candy to make sure nobody's trying to kill your child if they are not allergic to a thing. Mm-hmm. Secondly, your children I still participated in Halloween. I just can't eat chocolate and nuts and some other things, but so those candies went to somebody else, and the ones I could eat, if I wanted them, I'm really not a big candy person, I ate them. So I think you just have to really empower the child. I was the only Black kid too at school, so it was a whole lot going on. so, and with the lunchroom, it was simple. My dad made my lunches, and I had the good sense to know I'm not sharing with anyone. I'm just gonna, how they would share it. I knew not to participate because I knew that I had to eat what I could eat, and it was in my lunchbox what I could eat. So that's how I went through lunch. And then, we had a calendar that told us what was being served. So if I wanted to buy lunch, my parents gave me money and they knew that meal I was able to eat and I wasn't going to get sick or whatever. So that's how I was able to, eat in the lunchroom and just be like everyone else. Like I said, I just didn't swap. And that's because really, I don't think anyone really wanted what was in mine, except for maybe my Twinkie. I was really big on Twinkies back then. But yeah.
Yeah, agree. I have a 6-year-old, and thank goodness she does not have any allergies because I had all of them. Like I couldn't even have regular spaghetti because I was allergic to tomatoes. So my mom used to make like a sauce out of beets. So she's fairly easy, but just because she's not showing those symptoms doesn't mean that it doesn't affect her body. But I don't cook with anything or have anything that's an allergen for me in the house. But I empower her. I tell her. So for example, gluten. We don't eat gluten in the house. But now she's in school, she's been eating more gluten, but she's like, Mom, I'm itchy, my belly. I'm like, well, I think this is something that you need to avoid. And you have to tell them anytime they give that to you on your plate, you set it aside. So I empower her because that's something she has to deal with for the rest of her life. And I teach her not to try to fit in anyway. So,
And
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, so you mentioned that you can eat ice cream now, but you couldn't back then. You could only eat things with goat's milk in them. And you also said something about food sensitivities versus food allergies. What is the difference between them? Can sensitivities become food allergies, or are they basically the same? So can you be allergic to something at some point and then not be allergic to it later?
So yes, you can. Sometimes allergies change. Some sensitivities, and I should have had my allergist on, but if I'm not mistaken, it means that you're just sensitive to it. So you might have a slight reaction that I guess is not that bad, but it's a little something. And so I know that some people, that's how it starts, and the next thing you know, they are full blown allergic to something. So mine didn't start that way. I just was always very sickly when I was eating oatmeal, and then we figured out, very early on, like I said, less than a year old, they figured out, oh, she's allergic to this, 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 and this, and this, and this, and this. But yeah, allergies change. They, like I said, the dairy thing was the one thing that I now can have. I will say I don't drink milk though. I drink oat milk. But I'll eat regular ice cream every blue moon. But I really do like some of these oat ice creams and coconut milk ice creams that they have out. But yeah.
Yeah, I also love coconut ice cream and kind of like alternative ice creams. There's one coconut ice cream that I make myself. I use coconut milk, almond milk, and just sugar and coconut flavoring, like coconut extract, and it is so good. I gotta send you the recipe. It's delicious.
You put it in like a ice cream maker?
Yes, I have the ice cream maker where you freeze the bowl and then you put it in there and it spins around and freezes the stuff on the side and then scrapes it off. It's so good. The rest of my family doesn't really like it, but I love it.
I think we made that, me and my sister. I think we did. So I have a project that's coming out. It was good. I'm not that big on coconut that strong. So if we had put something else with the coconut milk, then maybe I would have really liked it. But I need my coconut to be very faint. So on top of my allergies, I'm picky, which is just horrible. Everyone's like, Renee, you can't eat anything. I was like, I know, because I'm like, well, I don't eat that, and I don't want that, but I'm allergic to that.
You know what I think though, because I said this. I said it last year when someone said, "Oh, you can't eat anything." I think having a food allergy makes you more health conscious. It makes you more conscious on what you put in your body. So although allergy is, it can be debilitating at times, I would almost say those that do have food allergies are typically the healthiest eaters.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
That
I think that'd be great, but I just recently started looking like this.
Oh, but you got it. Look, now you're fine, girl. You're fine.
No. So didn't I just tell you I always ate fried chicken fingers? And fries?
Very, very good point. But not anymore. The past you did.
Right. Yeah. There was no vegetable to be found in that. But someone just said the other day, and they didn't realize I don't eat salad. I used to be allergic to raw vegetables, and so that's the only one that I can swallow without being totally disgusted is cucumbers. And I like cucumbers. I like the taste of them. I like cucumbers, but no other raw vegetable can I get past my teeth.
Wow.
Not even baby carrots.
I tried baby carrots because I liked the way they sounded.
They sound the way they sound.
That crunch. It just.
So if you steam them, it's good.
It has to be. I have to have some heat.
Okay, well that's good then.
And even steam, I really like my stuff to not be so raw feeling to me.
Like soggy vegetables.
Right. Like, no, because I understand that the nutrients are gone if you boil them too much. So, but you're right, steam them just enough that Now I will say there is a lovely place in Chicago, Spoken Bird, and they change their menu all the time, and they had this vegan sandwich that had spring mix and beans and squash on it. So I was fine with the beans and the squash because they were cooked. But they had the spring mix. I go, oh, God. But I wanted to try. And I was like, so I just got it as is, because usually I would have told him, the doctor, I said, I'm going to get it as is. My sister's like, you going to eat spring mix? I was like, I don't know. So then I took a picture of my empty plate. She goes, you ate it. I said, Alicia, it was the best sandwich ever. It was so good. And I was so proud of myself. I ate the spring mix. And I did one of those green cleanses, and you had to use spring mix. And I mixed spring mix in there.
Good job.
You're gonna have to send me this place when we're done, because that sounds like a good.
Oh, your mother knows. Your mother knows. It's our office.
Okay. So my next question is, so I have some friends with allergies, and I know that when I invite them over, we hang out all the time, we eat food, we go out places and get stuff outside. And I know to make sure that wherever we're going, that they're not going to be allergic to anything there, or anything that we have like at my house or somewhere else, that it's not going to trigger them. But what tips do you have for people who have friends with allergies or family to make safe and accommodating spaces for their friends and family?
I would say definitely stay away from the main allergens. Obviously the peanuts, the seafood, especially if you're inviting people over that you don't know what their allergy dietary issues are. Eggs, I would say just stay away from those main things, so you don't have, or label those items. So yeah, if you're gonna invite people over, I think you should definitely either let people know, or just leave those out. Yeah,
definitely. Labeling is really big. I've gotten sick because there was something in it and I didn't realize it was in it. And and to this day, I don't know if it was chocolate or nuts in one of them. And so labeling is really, really key. If you label stuff, and then also nowadays, if you're having a function and, especially small dinner party, ask people, do you have any food allergies? Because the last thing you want to do is be the reason somebody got sick.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want that on your hands. You don't want the EMS to your house. You don't want that. So you should just ask, because you don't know. And then, there was the unfortunate story about Elijah, and Lord, I forgot his last name, but before Allergy Appreciation Month, I'm going to remember. But he was a little boy, and unfortunately his grandmother, this was in New York, she made some seafood, and he was allergic to the smell of seafood cooking. Hello, so am I.
Yeah.
And 45 years, I still am. And he died. And he was a young little boy. Yeah. And so I'm hoping I'm not confusing the two stories, but I'm pretty sure that was Elijah. There's another story of another little boy in New York. I think he was allergic to peanuts, and it was at the daycare somehow that he got a hold of peanut butter or something. He didn't make it either. So yeah, there's all these horrible stories, and that's what I'm saying. You have to just ask the questions, and you have to know. And so my grandparents were very well aware that this was a situation. So, we didn't usually just drop by, because these are people who eat seafood. So you had to just let them know we were coming. So then they knew, okay, we shouldn't have fish today, or you have to completely air out the place so that I don't smell it, or the weather had to be good enough for me to sit outside so I didn't have to go in the house. So, my piano teacher, bless her heart and rest in peace, she was my piano teacher, and the piano lessons were in her house. It was one-on-one lessons in her house. And I went to her house and my nose knows. Soon as I crossed the door, I knew. And I told her, I can't come today. Alicia can, but I can't. And this was before cell phones. So we had to wait for my dad to get home, for my mother to send him back to come get me, because I couldn't. So I sat on the porch and waited for him, because I knew. I was like, you just made fish. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I can't.
They were probably like, oh wow, you're a really difficult kid. Like, and like, you were young then too. So
right.
That's empowering.
Yeah.
That's empowering. I often felt very ostracized, because every family reunion Friday night is fish fry night. So I would literally have to not go. So I have to hire a babysitter, or sit outside and not come in.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so empowering of you to be like, look, I'm not coming today. Nope, not doing
So, I literally walked in the door and was like, no, turned around. One of my babysitting moms, the story didn't make the book, but I babysat for her children, and I went to her house to babysit, and she had fish. So I couldn't stay.
You have to probably find another one.
No, I think my mom pinch hit it for me, or my sister. My sister might not have been old enough, so my mom must have come or something in my place. But when I tell you my nose knows, it's in my book. I came home. I went to school. I went to undergrad, and then I came home for a year, and then I went to med school. So when I was home that year, my dad would make shrimp, and he would always do it late. And it's like, why would you do this late? So I'd come home from class, and I would immediately be like, Dad. He's like, you can't smell anything. So I'd go to the other end of the house, opposite of the kitchen, shut the door. I'm on the computer, and I called it my inner whistle. I could hear myself start wheezing. And I call my mom and be like, your husband's trying to kill me. I love him to pieces, but he is trying to end my life. And she's like, oh. And so, of course, she'd come home and all the windows are open in the dead of winter, because he's trying to air the house out, because he knew. But yeah, that is an allergy. That is serious. And mind you, I can completely eat with somebody eating seafood next to me, as long as they don't touch my plate and I don't touch theirs. But I cannot smell seafood cooking. It's very rare. Weird.
No, I'm just like you.
Okay.
I've kind of grown out of the reaction, but no one can cook it in my house. I'm definitely going to start itching or coughing, or for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So this
pill for allergies. Like, I think that's the one thing, like, that if you have, there's no, what is the cure for allergies?
So there are people that do this OIT, oral immunotherapy.
Huh?
I guess, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I've been this long without these foods that I'm okay. I have no problem.
I would literally take whatever test, because I feel like once your allergies change, as mine was really bad when I was younger, I faded out of them, and now they're really, really bad now that I'm 40. Like, I would love to see what my new allergies and sensitivities are, because figuring that out is like trying to figure out a formula that's kind of almost impossible, because you have so many things that you are around. Like I have outdoor allergies, indoor allergies, dust mites, mold, all those things. So I don't know what causes a flare, and for how long.
Somebody, I read in the comments, somebody said they're taking allergy injections. So I took allergy shots as a young girl, probably Ava's age, like around 6, 7, 8.
Mhm.
I don't have any problems with environmental allergies anymore.
So let me know the name. So I am willing. Like
I don't have, so like, people talk about hay fever. I have no idea what that is. I've never had a sinus infection. Like all these things that people say, oh, it's that time of year. I don't have any. We used to mow the lawn as a chore, and I'm allergic to the grass.
Can you ask Sandra, I'm looking at the comments, what is the name of the allergy injection, if she doesn't mind? And that'd be great to know.
So yeah, I don't have a problem anymore. Thank you, Jesus. But I don't know. It's yeah. And now, mind you, I did a asthma study maybe like 5, 10 years ago, and they did the in the environmentals. They checked them skin tests on my arms.
Mm-hmm.
I was still allergic to all of that stuff. My arms were on fire. I was like, "Can I please scratch?" They're like, "No."
That's so inhumane. Okay, obviously we're allergic. I got the skin test too. Like, so they're putting it in you to see the reaction.
Yeah.
It also goes in your system, and it can cause some type of reaction.
Well, this was, like I said, it was an asthma study. So I was at University of Chicago. They were taking very good care of me. And I was fine. It was just the itchiness. And they said it'll go away. If it doesn't, they told me what to do. But it went away. Mm-hmm. But I was shocked because of the fact, like I said, I used to mow the lawn. I've never had a problem. I used to walk the lakefront, freshly mow, just mowed the lawn, the grass at the lakefront. No problem. Mm-hmm. I've been there while they were doing the grass at the lakefront. No problem. So just crazy. Yeah. But I mean, when I tell you I am so grateful for those allergy shots, because I think things could have been 10 times worse if I had to deal with outside too.
Man.
So, and actually dogs and cats is another allergy that came up too. But the allergy shots, I used to babysit people with dogs and cats all the time. Never had a problem.
Yeah, I had to always stay away. Maybe my mom didn't know anything about those things, but it was quite difficult. And if they have those now, I'll be interested to see. But from the holistic perspective, I'm like, how do you create a healthy immune system where anything that your body comes in contact with, it doesn't bother it?
Well, they're working on all sorts of things now, I will say, because there's even something you're supposed to be able to take or something so that it's specific to nuts, but I forget exactly how it worked. Like I said, I don't pay attention to things because I'm like, I don't eat nuts. Mm-hmm. I can't eat them, and that's fine. And we're not changing that, and that's okay with me. I, like you, don't have anything I'm allergic to in my house. When people come to my place, they bring stuff that that I can't eat, but I don't go by and don't have. I don't like chocolate chip cookies. I remember I made them for the first time and was like, no, what are we doing? I was like, I don't eat these. I was like, I said, why would I know how to make something I don't know? I can't eat, like why? So yeah, it's very, very interesting. But I think the allergy shots, I will tell you this, kudos to my mother. It's also in the book. And the book is dedicated to her. My mom is she's Reverend Joyce Matthews now, but my mother in her past life was a respiratory therapist. And for those that don't know, that is somebody who takes care of your breathing system. So therefore, my mother was very, very, very on top of what was going on when it came to asthma. And then, asthma and my asthma and allergies went hand in hand. So she was always at the top of it. Plus, may she rest in peace, my fabulous allergist, Dr. Marva Morris, she was on top of it. Like between the two of them, they had it. And they were like, okay, so that's why I had the allergy shots, because Dr. Morris and my mom, and actually my mom gave them to me because Dr. Morris knew my mom was a medical professional. And so she's like, if you can do it, then she doesn't have to come in the office. Make sure she doesn't have a reaction. We had every piece of equipment because of that with my asthma. So yeah, kudos to my mom. That's why a lot of things she knew, because that was her field.
So someone in the comments is saying that they have been suffering for several weeks, and Claritin got them together, and they have lifelong asthma. Have you all ever used Claritin for that?
Claritin and Zyrtec, they're fabulous. And I will tell you, my 2 months were April and October, because that's when the seasons change in the Midwest, right? Chicago, Detroit, that's when they change. And I, knock on wood, haven't gotten sick during either of those months for several years now, amazingly. My new allergist in Chicago, Dr. James Thompson, who is amazing, he said to me about 4 years ago, well, you could keep taking this Advair or you could not, because I think you're okay. And I'm like, what? So he goes, let's just check it out and see how you feel. So I did another month, and I have not taken daily meds since then. And that was like February, like 4 years ago. Wow. So what he did say was have your Claritin or Zyrtec on hand, so that if, you can be a little proactive if you know that you're going to be in a bad situation, especially, like I said, these times of the month these times of the year when the seasons change. And he's like, just take the Claritin so that you don't get sick. And so, but I haven't had to take Claritin. I don't remember the last time I took it. So.
May I see you in the comments? Hi. So my last question, and we'll wrap up with this, is, so you said in your book that you ran a half marathon. In this book, it is all about thriving with allergies. And you said that you ran a half marathon, like 8.5 miles, something you ran? I don't have asthma, and I could never run, not even a mile, let alone 8. So what was that experience like for you? How did you feel after you accomplished it? And what can it teach people about persevering through any allergies or disabilities that they may have? Even though I don't think allergies are disabilities, but like just persevering in general.
I mean, I think that if, I'm be very honest with you, I've always been under the belief that I can do anything. And I think my parents somehow, I don't think they meant to tell me that, because I am quite the risk taker compared to them. But somehow they put that in me, that I can do anything. And so I trained. And I mean, when I say trained, I trained in the dead of winter. I ran that half marathon in January. So all my training was up until January. So it was Chicago. I figured out, and mind you, I'm allergic to the cold air because of my asthma, of course, too. So the cold air can send me into an asthma attack like that. But I figured out that 31 degrees is the lowest that I can go for running outside. And after that, it's just a wrap. If it's any colder than that, I can't do it. But 31, I would run outside. And against the lakefront, it's colder by the water, for those that don't know, to live by water. So I would run on the lakefront. So I feel like if there's something to be done, if I just work hard at it, I can get it done. Now, had I known about these pacers that were going to pace me through the race, I would have made that race all the way half marathon, which is 13.1 miles. But the pacers got me, and so I only completed 8.5. My mother's like, only? Renee, you've never run that far. I was like, oh, I guess you're right. So, and I was very glad they gave me a medal still, too, because it was the Disney half marathon. So I have a lovely, I think it's a Donald Duck. Yeah, I think it's Donald Duck, my medal. And so I was very happy, because I was going to be very upset if I didn't get a medal. But I got a medal. And so I don't believe I'll be doing this again, because I just didn't enjoy the experience. The reason I did it was because I am the best big sister on the planet. My sister will tell you. And she ran it by herself the year before. And I said, well, you shouldn't have to go by yourself. So I was supposed to do a walk. And my stupid butt let the walk sell out. And so then I was like, oh my God, I have to do the run. So I trained. I did 2 5Ks, 2 10Ks, and then the half. And so I did the first 5K on 9/11 in Montrose Harbor. It's called the Lung Run, coincidentally. And it was in Montrose Harbor, and it rained like cats and dogs the entire race. Yes, it was 5K, but pouring rain, could not see out of my glasses. Horrible. But I ran the whole thing and completed it in 45 minutes. I was so impressed with myself and never had to pull out my inhaler. I had it, of course, with me the entire time, but I never had to use it. I was so excited. Yeah, but so I did that. Then I did a 5K here in Michigan. Then I did another 10K in Chicago. That one, 10K is 6.2 miles. Yeah, I think that's right. The 10K, it was along the lakefront, and once again, it was raining. I was like, God, I can't. It's just too cold out here. And we had a stop at 31st Street, which had the Metro Board, which is an organization I was a part of. And they were manning the station. And if they weren't there saying, come on, Dr. Renee, you can do it, I was going home because I lived down the street. So I was just going to turn and go home because I was done. Okay, done. I couldn't do it. I had, you can't handle it. I couldn't handle it anymore. I was so cold, but I completed it because that was the turnaround. And I didn't go home. I turned around and went back and finished the race. So I was very happy with myself. But yeah, I did it. And somebody's posted, Dee's Road Team, my friend Dawn, she said, playing Mass in Trinidad Carnival. Yes. Playing Mass in Trinidad Carnival, I did 14 miles one day. The next day, I got up and did another 14, if not more. So, but we weren't running. We were dancing the whole time. But still, we have another guest that has joined us, and I think another one might be jumping on in a second. But give me 2 seconds. Go ahead, Andrea. I know that you. I was going to ask you. So Andrea makes some really fabulous products, you guys, for male grooming. Solo Noir. Do you have any? Is your stuff allergy friendly? Because I have seen people asking about makeup and shaving cream and all these things for women's grooming as well as male grooming. Are your things allergy friendly?
So regarding the main allergens like fish, nuts, those things, yes. We haven't done a specific allergy test for all of the products for me to verify, but it is made of natural and organic ingredients.
Perfect.
Solo Noir. And it's a complete grooming system for men, just to allow men to be the grooming process to be simple for men with 2-in-1 grooming products. So it is animal friendly. We do not test on animals. So the vegans will love that. But yeah, it's not certified allergen, but we do stay away from the main allergens.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, hold on. We're going to do a little switch here. We have to add somebody in. Hi, Kiana.
Hi, how are you?
Great. So, you guys, Kiana Dorsey is a student at, please correct me if I'm wrong, University of Miami, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, got it right. And she is an allergy thriver. She, like me, was a kid, and Andrea as well, was a kid with allergies. So what allergies do you have?
I have severe nut allergies to all nuts, so tree nuts and peanuts.
That's me. So let me just tell you something. Somebody said the other day who was allergic to tree nuts. I'm in a lot of Facebook groups with allergy people, and they said, does it offend you like it offends me when people don't know the difference between peanuts and tree nuts? I don't. I'm like, nuts are nuts to me. I don't know. I was like, peanut, tree nut, they're all nuts.
No, I was thinking about this. Like when some people,
coconut the same?
So coconut, it's something about the way, it's something with the growing process, I guess, that makes these tree nuts and peanuts different from coconut. Because coconut I've never been allergic to. But let me tell you, I always wanted to do the peanuts that you do this. Is that pistachio that they open up like that? I wanted.
I think I was doing pistachios prior, but I cut those out too.
So I always wanted to do that because I was a kid and it looked cool. Yeah. So I understand. So Kiana, please tell us, how was growing up? Because I'm sure there was not a whole ton of kids with nut allergies. How was it for you?
Growing up, it was definitely hard. I feel like it was a lot of, I guess, exclusion and feeling different because, you know, parents didn't want to deal with the severity of my allergy. So like inviting me to a birthday party was almost like a liability issue. So I felt a lot of exclusion. And then like even with in-class birthday parties, like the treats or the cake wouldn't be nut safe. And so it got to the point where like teachers were scrambling and I would get like an orange or an apple while everybody else has like this nice chocolate cake. And I'm like, okay, this isn't the same. So I got to the point where my parents would bring me to school with like a treat box of all these nut safe like snacks. And so then when birthday parties would happen or like a Halloween party or anything in class, I would just go to my treat box. And so it was a way for me to feel like, you know, like I belonged. But yeah, it was definitely difficult. But it taught me a lot about advocating for myself and being vocal because I can't be shy when it comes to my allergy. Like I have to ask the teacher, does this have nuts in it? Or can I read the label? Or, you know, like I have to be adamant and speak up. So that's the skill that I value that growing up with nut allergies has taught me.
And that's what I think is so important. Unfortunately, I'm hearing too many stories of mom is still going to the school and the kid is in high school. Why is your mother advocating for you and you're in high school?
Yeah.
You should be able to advocate for yourself. You should be able to tell them, I'm sorry, I can't have this, I can't be exposed to this or whatever. But you should not have to have your mom. And then I've read stories where people are like, oh, he's never ate somewhere without me. But he's like 16. So it's in my book. I traveled because I danced competitively. And I traveled before I was a teen even. I traveled with the dance team without my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't die. And I ate. And so that's because I always knew what I was allergic to. Even if the grown-ups around me couldn't remember, I knew.
Right.
So I could say, no, I can't eat that. Or if I didn't know, because obviously there's a lot of foods out there and there's things that I just didn't know, I'd say, well, I'm not sure, so I think I should probably pass.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, advocating for yourself is the most important thing ever. And I think that that's a great skill to learn, obviously. You know, if this is the reason why we had to learn it, this is fine. But I think that is a great skill to have because, you know, we, especially as Black women, need to advocate for ourselves in a whole lot of different spaces. But it's so important that we know that we speak up and say something. You don't want to sit there and, you know, let somebody kill you. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, it could happen, right? Unfortunately. Hold on. We have another person that's just joined us. Hi, Cameron.
Hi.
Hello. So, Cameron, please tell us, what are your allergies?
My allergies: wheat, gluten, tree nuts, peanuts, shellfish.
Okay, so
and certain over-the-counter medications. How about that?
Oh, wow. So shellfish, I just have to know, can you smell it cooking?
I'm not that bad, but I also don't find myself around it cooking that much. But I found out the hard way. I was at an event and a couple people gave me kisses on the cheeks and my face swole. And that was when I found out I was allergic to shellfish because I am not a fish eater. I'm not a seafood eater. So I didn't know until I was exposed in that way.
And how old were you then? You were an adult?
Oh, I was 41 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So your other allergies, were those childhood or those were just recent as well?
So the wheat allergy I found was from childhood, although it exposed itself later. I realized that was why I was having so many issues with a lot of different things that they ignored. The nut allergy, that was something later in life. I love nuts to this day. And my allergies came on when I had an anaphylactic response to a medication, a regular medication that anyone takes, broad spectrum, a Z-Pak for a sinus infection. And the first thing I noticed was my arm swelling. And then I just noticed that my teeth were getting thick. It just felt like my gums were getting very thick, couldn't breathe. And, that's where it went. And from there, it was like for about a year, my immune system was out of whack. And finally, it landed on, you can't eat nuts. You can't eat wheat and gluten and all those sensitivities came right on out after my.
So we have a really great mix here.
Yeah.
We have me and Andrea we had allergies as kids. And Kiana, who had allergies as kids. and we've just lived with them this way. And then poor Cameron, like I feel bad for those people because if someone took away from me what I eat now,
Right.
I would have a fit.
Well, see, for me, I raised a food allergic child. So
Right.
I was already kind of there. I was already cooking 2 and 3 meals just to keep everybody
Right.
alive anyway. So when it happened to me, I was like, oh, wow. But I was prepared for what that devastation felt like and how we deal with it socially. And then I
Right.
realized why my son would always say, Mom, stop telling people I'm allergic, because you don't want everybody, you want people to keep you safe, but you don't want them tiptoeing around you like, oh, well, what can you eat? Or, oh, since you can't do anything, let's go do something that's not fun, something like that.
No, but I'm saying you said you like nuts, and so I feel bad that was taken from you. I met someone recently that is allergic to bacon. And it's not like they grew up this way. This was an adult thing. I would be so upset. Now, Andrea, I'm sure you don't eat bacon, but
I did. That was the last thing I gave up. I decided to be a vegetarian at 8, but that bacon I couldn't let go of until I was about 15. Yes.
But yeah, so I really sympathize for people who find out about allergies later in life. I have a friend who found out about a nut allergy later in life, and you know what? She realizes now, but see, this is when you don't grow up allergic, you don't realize, just kind of with your wheat allergy. She was having a reaction, but didn't know what an allergic reaction was.
Yeah.
Like her mouth would feel straight, but she didn't know. So she just kept eating them. So
similar thing happened to me where like I remember having my first allergic reaction, and it was to like an Edmund's like little cake.
I know what you're talking about. And Edmund's has done me in too. God bless
and
them.
I think they changed something, because at first it was safe and then it quickly became unsafe. And I was eating it. Well, there was that, and then I also had some Indian food, which I shouldn't have been eating. So with the Indian food, I was like crushing it, licking the bowl because it was my mom's leftovers. And I remember like feeling like, because everybody says that your throat closes up, but you never really experience what your throat closes up feels like.
Until.
And so I thought that a piece of chicken was stuck in my throat. So I spent a good 15 minutes Googling remedies to get chicken down your throat, and I'm swallowing bread, essentially wasting time as like, death is on its way. And so eventually, like, my mom takes me to the patient first because we weren't sure. Meanwhile, I live like a minute away from the ER.
From the ER.
We went to the patient first because we weren't sure like the magnitude of it. And it wasn't until en route, like 5 minutes from the patient first, where I was like, oh, I can't breathe. Like, I cannot breathe. And then she's panicking. She doesn't know whether to turn around, to go to the ER, to keep going. So long story short, like, having that first experience of, like, it feels as if something's stuck in your throat, and then knowing the amount of time, like, you have a good 15 minutes to, get to the doctor, like, it prevented me from having future ones, because then I knew what that feeling felt like. But I can totally see how it tragically goes wrong, because you don't know.
It's like everyone, it depends. Because some people's 15 minutes. I don't have 15 minutes. My stuff happens like this. I had some Indian food, and all of a sudden, I couldn't swallow. And spit was just coming out of my mouth. And I was like, oh, my throat's closing. I have to go. And so yeah, some people don't have that window. I literally, it's like 2 seconds, and I don't even have to eat a lot of the food. I ate a crumb before, and a crumb at Michigan State in the cafeteria darn near killed me. Somebody asked, if you're allergic, can I eat a nutter butter cookie and talk to you? Yes, you can, but you have to be a what is it? Somebody that doesn't spit when they talk, because that could cause a reaction.
I cannot be airborne. So I'm one of those people where, like I said, that kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
I'm the person, it's built into my TSA when I travel. I'm that person, as soon as I get on the plane, the stewardess says, attention, this is a nut-free flight. If you have snacks, blah, blah, blah. They've gone so far as to say, we're sorry if you've prepaid a meal, we can't have nuts on this flight because we're not going to be up in a tube in the sky and have this person fall out. And what's funny is they always think it's some little kid, and I sit there too, like, yeah, you darn kid. Right. And so I've had a situation where a guy next to me was like, oh, screw that. Some little kid is allergic to nuts. That's not going to stop me from eating my Snickers. And so I said, sir, it's actually me. And he's like, oh, no way, I'm sorry. But I have found that with masks on, I've been able to travel and people can eat all the nuts that they want to on the plane. So yay.
Yeah. So my cousin has an airborne, and she had a big button that she wore because she worked at a hospital. If anyone knows, the nurses' stations, they usually snack on things, nuts being one of them. And so she had a huge button that she would wear. And I mean, when I say huge, like it was big, that she wore on her scrubs. So then they knew that you can't eat them in her presence. Thankfully, my only airborne is the smell of seafood cooking, but I can dine with people that are eating seafood. It's just I can't cross-contaminate, you know. And I, like a fool, Andrea, went to Japanese for some networking event. In case you don't know, everyone, Japanese is a sushi restaurant. And
You walked into the fire. Like,
that's exactly what I did. I told you I am a risk taker. And so I just kept my hands together the whole time we were there. I think we might have stayed about an hour. And then we left, and I vowed I would never do that to myself again because it was so, like, I'm never scared, but I was like kind of scared. Like,
I
just,
have, go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I have a interesting, very close call from Allergies, being a little bit of a risk taker. I went to this restaurant on February 14th, 3 years ago, and I ordered. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna treat myself for Valentine's Day. I'm gonna order me a vegan steak, and I took a snack on it as I was in the car to pick up my daughter. She was 2 at the time, and I just realized something started to like happen. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. You know how you do your throat. I got my daughter in the back seat, and my body just quickly began to like have a reaction where I start to black out. I got weak. Mind you, I'm driving in the car. Nothing tells me to turn around and go to the ER because I'm just thinking to get home to my mama. You know, my mama knows best. So by the time I get there and I'm calling, I'm like, something's not right, blah, blah, blah. She had just had knee surgery. Calling, I get there. I can't even get out of the car. Like my body began to start to like give out. I'm crawling into the house. My aunt just happened to be right down the street and pulling after me. And she walked in, my mom was hopping. She was like, oh my gosh, I tried to throw up, you know, because naturally after you get it in, you want to get it out. And I could not even hulk it out. That's how it was really tight. So my aunt's like, no, take it to the ER. The ER is like, so that's probably like, by that time, it's probably like 30 minutes. The ER is like 7 minutes from the house. Now that ER is closed. And they put me in the wheelchair and, you know, they try to check you in, you know. My aunt's like, no, we're not checking her in. I'm opening the door. We're getting to the back. Literally, like when I was literally crawling to the bed and things are ripping off and all types of like stuff over the face. And it was just the most scariest like moment because it's like, damn, I was supposed to be, you know, now how did I get here? And it was just the most scariest moment. And then when they start putting all this stuff in you, you start to like shake and just because the body is trying to level itself out. That's insanely crazy. But since then, because my immune system was so low, because it literally damn near knocked me out. I think my allergies have gotten heightened. So I have way more allergies because they say once you have that first major reaction, every other reaction is more and more intense. So that reaction caused like a skin, like now it's all that stuff is pushing out of my skin. So that caused severe dermatitis. So allergies can lead to a lot of other things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, yes, and you know, eczema and allergies go hand in hand, and a lot of people don't realize that eczema, asthma, and allergies. And with eczema, sometimes it's really as simple as just eliminating certain foods from the diet. Eczema goes away. So you really have to, you know, pay attention to what you're giving the children, and you know, and what makes them break out, and when do they break out? Because sometimes it's food with that eczema. Definitely. But Cameron,
to the doctor with other things that were happening, and they were saying, well, ma'am, this isn't part of an allergic reaction. It's been 2 months. You're not still reacting from this medication. And they refused to listen to the fact, even with their knowledge, that other like immunologic responses continue to happen, where my body became sensitive to every little thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like yours did.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that was like the start of like a major health issue until I stepped back. I was like, well, when was it? And ever since then, it's been more of a, little things showing up. So, and who knows how long it takes for your body to readjust from having that offset.
That's crazy. Crazy. But, I think, like we were saying earlier, Cameron, we were talking about advocating for ourselves. And I'm sure that you were advocating for yourself and made sure that they understood, no, this is because of that still.
I had to go back until I realized a friend of mine worked at that hospital and she knew what was going on, but she also said that I was marked as a hypochondriac patient and one with anxiety and other things. And I was like, I'm not suffering from anxiety. I was one way one day and one way the next day. And you see that I have this allergic response, but still you have to advocate for yourself or else it feels like you're going to die. And I think what did help me was having raised a child who had allergies, asthma, eczema even, before we took things out of his diet. So, yeah.
Yeah, see, and I mean, part of that is unfortunately being Black, I hate to say, but this is why we push here at Black Doctor that you should try to find Black doctors. I'm just saying, and the allergists that I mentioned, both of them were Black people. I had a Black woman allergist, like I said, in Detroit that died, and my current allergist is a Black male, James Thompson in Chicago, and he is phenomenal. But you really, not all skin folk are kinfolk, but there have been studies that have been done that people do better. We do better if we have a Black doctor. So I really suggest, if you can, find yourself a Black doctor. And blackdoctor.org actually does have a directory on their site, and you can put in the specialty, put in your location, and try to find a doctor. Also, ask your friends and family. All my doctors are Black, so everyone that knows me, they ask me, and I can tell them because from the head to the toe, everybody is Black that deals with me. And that was important to me. I was like, this is my insurance that I'm paying with my money. I'm going to pick the people to look just like me. And I trust them immensely. They haven't let me down. So I'm in good hands, and I feel that I'm in good hands. And then you also, Cameron, I'm sure you had somebody going with you to the hospital. But the other thing is, if you do have an allergic reaction, you may not be able to speak. So you need somebody there that can advocate for you. Mm-hmm. And thankfully now we have all these amazing products on, our phone, on apps on our phones, and all this, bracelets and watches you can wear that might be able to express what's going on to somebody. My friend Javier has created an amazing app, Allergy, which they have a patent already for a product that'll help if you use your AvaQ. It'll let your family, friends, whoever in your contact list know that you have used it and where you're located. So in case you are by yourself, they can get you help. But his app, I think, also will let people know, this is what's going on with this person. And, so that we just, like I said, unfortunately, you probably cannot talk if you are having an anaphylactic reaction. So you need somebody to talk for you. And if it's not a person, then you need your phone to have all the information in it of what your allergies are. Because like Cameron said, she has some over-the-counter meds, but there's a lot of people who are allergic to prescribed meds. And if you can't say something, then I don't know how you're going to let them know before they inject you with, and some of it's very common stuff, just like people with latex allergy. The first thing you do at the hospital is put your gloves on to see the patient. And if you don't, if they don't know you have a latex allergy, you don't know what gloves are being used. So you just have to be careful. But as you see, the biggest thing I wanted to get across this week is that, and because I'll be on every week this month with Allergy Appreciation Month topics. But today I wanted you to see that we have thrived. We are living our lives, enjoying our lives. Kiana, do you stay at home or you went away to school?
Yeah, I'm in Miami currently.
So she went away to school, just like I did as well. And Andrea did too. Cameron, you got your stuff later in life. But the three of us, we were kids, and our parents felt like they had instilled enough in us that we could leave the nest and we could go away to school and we could, get our degrees. Kiana's going to graduate.
I had to make this with my son though, too. I was like, wow, cafeteria people who are around. I also had to tell him what beer is made out of. Like, like there could be something in there that you're allergic to. I had to, talk him through those things. And so to this day, he's not a drinker because he said, what did he say? He said, if he's going to fall out, he'd rather it be, what's going on instead of it being from something in a drink that he drank. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
But the funny thing is, no one ever mentioned to me that I should worry about beer.
Yeah.
I thought it smelled bad and I wasn't interested. But it wasn't until maybe like 10, 20 years ago that I was like, oh, really? I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it. And I mean, it just so happened that I really wasn't interested. If someone drinks beer, I just hope that they have cider around because I'll drink cider.
I preferred, back in college, I drank hard liquor like most people did. But then I realized it would give me a hangover. So I learned to adapt to beer back then because then I could wake up. But in my adulthood, I went to wine and I did, but I'm not a drinker anyway. But the last few years I have preferred like craft beers over anything else. But now I cut that out. So it's because gluten is an allergy. So now it's like, well, I just drink lemon water. So I'm a lemon water at the party girl.
Exactly. It's like drinking a glass of wheat.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like I said, I just never had put the two together and was like, wow. But yeah, so I just want parents, that's why I wrote the book. I wanted parents to understand that their children can thrive and will be able to leave the nest and survive, as long as you have to put empower them with the information so that they know exactly what they're allergic to. They know what happens if they have something they're allergic to. They know how to use their auto injector, whether it be an EpiPen or Avacute. They know how to use it. They know what to do after they've used it, because you do need to call 911. And so it's just important that you really empower the child so that they can advocate for themselves when you are not there, because you will not always be there. And so that was my biggest thing with the book, is that I wanted people to understand that just because is no reason, like Cameron was saying, there's no reason that I can't do what everyone else does or I can't do the fun thing. No, I just know that, and I'm with your son. I don't tell everybody I'm allergic to stuff. It's on a need to know basis. So if I feel like I'm about to walk into fire, I will say something. But if we are not going to be eating or anything, and no need to say anything,
Right.
And so I'm just, I make sure that I cover myself. And then if I haven't said anything, I have the good sense to either ask questions when I'm about to eat, or I just don't eat. So,
well, Dr. That brings me to that other point, why my hobby became my passion. I've always loved cooking. And I told you that I had to cook to keep my family alive. But I've always loved cooking. And then there was a need. And that's when I became a gluten-free home baker or home chef and began giving tips to other people, began entering competitions, started just cooking on my Instagram constantly. Because what I did find was that food substitutes, all the things that you had to go and eat if you were allergic to something. My son was eggs, sesame, tree nuts, all sorts of things. And my stepson was soy and red dye. So we had all kinds of allergies coming up. And as a parent, not knowing what your kid can eat or not knowing what you can send to the birthday party, or somebody at the birthday party bringing in a bunch of nasty cupcakes because they said, oh, well, you need the ones that don't have this or that. And just the textures, everything was all wrong. And you feel like you're eating something that other people can't. The gluten-free go-to when you're out in public is potatoes and salad. And so people say, well, aren't you thinner since you're, wheat-free and everything? No, I'm thicker because I'm eating corn and rice and potatoes and all these things, unless I wanted to be a vegetarian as well. So my passion became trying to really get into the science of food. I'm not a chef. I work in media and I have a creative side also. And, but it became my passion to start cooking gluten-free, and it just became such a thing. So I started doing it on camera and really getting into keeping food beautiful. I'm an entertainer, so I like to be able to put out a plate of something delicious and gorgeous, and you eat with your eyes first. And I love presentation. And so that became my thing. And then I realized, wow, I can actually cook too, and it tastes good. And people started to want me to bring things, and then they'd say, can you believe this is gluten-free? It doesn't taste like it. And it's a lot of trial and a lot of error. There's a lot of things that don't make it to the screen because they're terrible and ugly or nasty, but it became my passion to do that, to cook without nuts, to cook without wheat, to provide alternatives, and for other people not to worry about me, not to have to announce, I can't eat that, I can't eat that, but to be able to come in and be like, oh, I brought these rolls, and them going, those are good, and they don't know that they're made with tapioca, so it's those types of things that, like you just said, led me to my passion to make my own food and to make food for others.
So in case you guys can't see, her website is unglutenedkitchen.com. Eden, can you put that up on the screen?
Yeah.
Thank
so
you,
unglutenedkitchen.com, and then on Instagram, it's cam_unglutened. So cam unglutened or unglutenedkitchen.com.
Now, how did you get so specific? How did you learn each one of your allergens? Because I think I was saying, but prior to you guys getting on, my allergies changed after I turned 40 to be more sensitive. But it's like trial and error, but I'm not sure if I'm doing the trial right, So how did you get so specific where you were able to narrow it down to, red dye number 5 and all those things?
Well, because mine happened much like hers did, where it was like, oh, you're having a reaction.
Right.
This is no joke. Like, you are literally having a reaction, to the point that I've made housing decisions based on how close the hospital is. Other things have been triggered by my allergies, like my appendix. Oh, you were talking about, I had a husband at one point, and then we divorced. And so I had him there when the things first jumped off. But when I moved to Chicago, I didn't have anyone there. I went on Facebook and had my doorman on there, like, I think I'm having a reaction upstairs. And it happened to be that my appendix was bursting, but it had to do with something that I ate that had wheat and some other things in it. So I had these big, dramatic responses. I was cooking for someone and cooking with actual peanut butter and nuts. And I was in the middle of doing it, and my nose was tingly. And then all of a sudden I couldn't breathe. And I'm like, I'm allergic to nuts. And one day, a lady who was at my coffee place, she decided to make me a really cool specialty coffee because she knew I loved beautiful things. And she put all this almond milk in it. And I'm walking around like, so I had those big reactions, unfortunately. And then the wheat reaction, the same thing happens over and over. And then I finally realized, oh, that's what it is. And it's a really long story to get into that response, what happens to me, but it takes about a week to recover from a gluten response for me. So it's very specific.
Wow.
So you did not do a specific test other than your own?
I did the test.
Knowing, or did you do an allergy test?
I did the test because there were some things going on with my body. At one point, I thought I had bed bugs and had my apartment. They did the black light in there because I was breaking out all over the place and couldn't figure it out. And one day they said, how about don't eat bread for a week? And then I all of a sudden was fine. Another time, again, hives on my body. When I had the other sweeping reactions, they did tests for a lot of things. They watch me when I have to take certain medications. I know which ones kind of send me. I know that I can't do certain narcotics. And then when I went to get my COVID vaccine, instead of staying for 15 minutes, they kept me for several hours and told me to come back the next day. After there was no immediate reaction, they knew I would be fine, but I had to be rechecked to make sure that I didn't respond to the medication.
Okay, so you guys, thank you so much. We went over, but this was good information. I wanted to get to everyone. I hope everyone shared this because, of course, I forgot to mention at the beginning, but it's okay. You can still share it. And so share it, YouTube, Facebook. Make sure that you follow all of these ladies on their different platforms. So I'm going to put Andrea's websites up here. Or did you? See, somebody's on top of it. Thank you so much to my co-host. But you guys, make sure you follow my co-host, Lemon Nerdy. She's Lemon Nerdy on all the platforms. She has that in there. Andrea's products, Solo Noir for men. Amazing products. You can find them in what stores, Andrea?
We're on a lot of online retailers, but if you're in Chicago, we're having our grand opening for our store. It's going to be on 55th, 319 East Garfield in Chicago. But you can find us on Macy's.com. We're launching in TJ Maxx for the buying season. Our websites, and then
Amazon, right?
Amazon too.
Yep. So you can find that. And then Kiana, where can we find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn and on Instagram at kiana.nicole. That's Nycole. And I'm like a film major. And so, speaking about what Miss Cameron talked about in terms of taking your allergy and making it into a passion, my passion is representation in media. So I'm coming out with a short film, a narrative animated short film about a little girl growing up with nut allergies in the classroom. So be on the lookout for that, as we will be looking to launch that very soon.
Awesome sauce. Well, these are all very talented women, besides the fact that we all share the commonality of food allergies. Everyone, please, please go and get the book. If you don't know somebody with an allergy, I'd be in a state of shock, but I'm sure you do. And the QR code takes you right to the site. MommyICan'tBreathe.com is the website for the book, but the book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Google Books, it's a lot of different places. So please check it out. And next week we'll have another topic that has to do with allergies. I think next week is food allergy moms. But please stay tuned. Make sure you follow me on everything at Ask Dr. Renee. And make sure you click the notification bell on YouTube so you know when I have new videos. And I will, those that are on my email list, you'll know exactly what we're going to talk about next week because I'll send it to the email list. So follow. Please check out blackdoctor.org if you need to find out anything about your health. I'm telling you, there's an article there about it. And all of the articles are for us and by us. So definitely check them out. And blackdoctor.org is a great resource for factual health information, specifically COVID information. So if you want to find out the truth, this is one of the places you can come and get the truth about COVID and the vaccine. So thank you so much, ladies, and we will see everyone next week.
Bye.